So the question I have to start things off is, do you ever feel like you're just working harder and harder in your practice, putting in more hours, evening hours, weekend hours to build your business, but you just don't seem to be getting anywhere? You're not getting the growth that you really want to have, or maybe you want to grow your business, but you don't want to necessarily be putting in those kinds of long hours. Well, today we are going to be talking about some of the roadblocks that are common for financial advisors when they are trying to build their business, and take a look at some of the systems and things that need to be in place in order for you to begin to scale more efficiently and with more of your effort being impactful rather than just spinning your wheels, wasting time. So the question that I want to ask you guys as we launch off here is, what is the biggest or the most frustrating challenge that you face in growing your business? Or put another way, what do you think is the number one challenge that advisors face growing their business? Go ahead and let us know in the chat. I'm seeing your messages come in, so please post those there. And real quickly, I just want to mention that this session is the first in a 7-part series. So if you are interested in finding the topics of the future sessions or even adding them to your calendar, you can go to horsesmouth.com/series and see the topics, find out more, and add them to your calendar. So without further ado, I am now going to hand things over to Horse's Mouth Editor-in-Chief Sean Bailey and Deborah Taylor, principal and founder of the Taylor Financial Group.
Thanks to everyone out there, and apologies for our delay getting going, which, just to point out, we're doing something that we're encouraging advisors to do at some point in time too. That is that we're simultaneously streaming to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook for this interview. And of course, that's a fantastic thing because we have one of our programs, the Financial Educator Webinar Coaching Program. That's one of the advanced topics that we deal with in that class. And we are encouraging people, once they get to the point where they're putting on webinars on a regular basis, that they consider streaming their events simultaneously, in essence, taking your presentation and going out to other locations in the virtual world, as opposed to attracting people to come specifically to your location. Now, technology makes this a relatively easy thing to do. Now, you've also experienced the downside today because Debbie had some, scheduling challenges, and we're 15 minutes late. And so we have carried this this little problem onto 3 separate platforms at the same time. So we apologize for the delay, but let's get going. Debbie, this is our first of our Building a Better Business series. We're going to be doing this, I think Doug mentioned, right through to Debbie's 4-day virtual workshop, which starts in July 19th to 22nd, her new normal workshop, which Debbie will be renaming soon. She's going to tell us more about that. But this is going to be an opportunity for us to, this series is going to be an opportunity for us to, dig into various aspects that advisors struggle with relating to, building your business and then taking it to the next level. So Debbie, thanks for being on. And well, let's just start from your perspective, because you've been working and coaching advisors in essence, through these practice management and your savvy tax planning workshop as well, for quite a while. From your perspective, Debbie, what are the challenges that advisors are facing when it comes to, actually growing their practice?
Yeah, Sean, I think there are a lot of challenges, right? Because nobody taught us how to market ourselves. Nobody taught us how to communicate. And so you see this with attorneys, you see this with CPAs, you see this with a lot of professionals. And it's actually interesting because in the medical profession, they will have conferences specifically geared towards how to run an efficient office, right? How to market yourself, how to develop a niche. And obviously we see that type of teaching at Horse's Mouth also. And so I think part of the challenge here is almost getting outside your comfort zone and marketing, asking for referrals, communicating, writing, right? I mean, all of these things are outside of our comfort level. And so I think part of it is getting outside our comfort level and also, making it a priority, right? Organizing our day so that prospecting, networking, communicating, messaging, all that has got to be a priority. Working on your business, right? Not just in the business. So
Right.
I think that's a good start.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's take one of those and just dive a little deeper because, all right, you're a trained CPA, a trained lawyer, and you've been in this business as an advisor, I think, for 20 years, right?
Yes.
But, what do you know about marketing? How did you, this is a challenge for advisors because many of them have, similar backgrounds in that they come up through the financial world. They don't know anything about marketing too.
Yes, exactly. And so, I remember for years early on, I did no marketing. I was embarrassed. I didn't know how to do it. Again, outside of my comfort zone. And I remember somebody coming up to me in town and saying, Debbie, you're so smart. You're so good at what you do. Why aren't you marketing yourself? And it was like, I was like embarrassed to do that. And so, like everybody else, I had to push outside my comfort zone. And Horse's Mouth has, great tools to help folks, learn how to market themselves. And so we do now a ton of marketing, and we're always looking for new opportunities to market. So, we have a radio show, we have a weekly newsletter, we have a monthly planning letter. We're now doing weekly office hours. We were doing monthly webinars. Now we're doing them quarterly because we're doing the weekly office hours. We used to do in-person workshops. We do a ton of client events. So, I mean, just, the list goes on and on.
Right. Yeah. That's an interesting point that you make, and I'm curious whether any of our listeners, feel similar or have a tip to share with people. Because you said you felt embarrassed about marketing, and that seems like it's associated with a phrase that some people have heard over the years called sales shame. That we're trained in one particular field. And of course, if you take the CFP or take any of these other designations, they also don't talk, they're very technical, and they don't talk about marketing or prospecting either. And so how did you finally become comfortable? What got you over the hurdle of feeling fine about seeing your picture in a quarter-page ad in the local newspaper, or your name scrolling across the bottom of the ticker tape in front of the local library advertising an event?
You're right, Sean, because I still cringe. Like, I do these mini videos so that when a prospect expresses interest in us, we will send an email with a 2-minute video embedded in it. And the thumbnail, right, is like my picture. And every time I see that email go out, I still cringe when I see my picture. I don't like to go to my website, even though we have a great website, because again, I feel like it's so out there, right? Just totally out there. But I will tell you, practice makes perfect. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel doing it. So yeah, when that email goes out, every day or every other day to someone who expressed interest in our firm, and the little thumbnail is in there with my picture sort of frozen in some like weird smile or whatever. And it says, click here. Yeah. I mean, I see that and I'm like, okay, it feels a little weird, but I know it's the right thing to do. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel doing it. And by the way, here's the other thing is the positive reinforcement. The prospects love it. The leads love it. The clients love it. Never once has somebody come back and say, why does Debbie do all these videos? Why does she do a weekly market video? Never once once. In fact, it's just the opposite. Is the feedback is, we love this, we love that. And that's the other thing with the marketing, real quick, is it's not one size fits all. So when you see me list, like we do this, it's not because I love being on a buffet line and having to get, a broccoli, salad, string bean, no, it's not that at all. It's that you want to meet people where they are. And some people prefer videos. Okay, now I'm doing videos. Some people prefer to read. Well, then we have a weekly newsletter. Some people prefer, a quarterly webinar. Well, we have our quarterly webinar. And so part of it is really meeting people where they are, not where you think they should be, or not like, it's not Burger King, but it's like, I'm not going to do it your way. I'm going to do it my way. That doesn't work for people. More and more with technology, they want things specialized to them. That's what technology allows you to do. So don't sort of fall into this trap. Well, gee, Debbie, we do this one thing and like feel very proud of this one thing you do, because by doing that one thing, yes, you're capturing a segment of your opportunities, but you're also probably missing a whole lot of other folks that don't engage in that way.
Yeah, I guess the other point is, at least when it comes to the marketing thing, is there was a popular phrase a few years back where there was a while where everybody was constantly hearing about content marketing, and of course, content marketing is it's a real thing, and I like to encourage advisors to realize that you have at your fingertips all day long, potential content marketing, because you're dealing with a whole range of issues relating to your clients, which any one of them at any point in time can be turned into a short marketing piece. Obviously, you're not using the client's specific name or details or any of that sort of thing, but you have the ability to say, look, my client called us up the other day, and their first tuition check is due July 1st, and they really had some very specific questions about, which assets they were going to tap to pay for their kids' tuition. And then you go from there. So that could literally be you could make a 5-minute video out of it. You could, write 4 or 5 paragraphs about your encounter, include it in your newsletter. Again, anonymizing it so you're not, revealing anybody's, actual specific details, but that you're problem solving for your clients all the time. Okay. And that is great content marketing. And so it is a point that I like to make as people make to advisors, as people, struggle with some of these issues. But Debbie, you were also talking about communication. Now, I'm just curious, before we dive into some comments from our listeners who are out there, and they've got quite a few for us already. In terms of communication, what's going on with you this summer with your clients and touching bases with them and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we're not ready to go back to the traditional in-person events. We've really struggled with it. We revisit it all the time. And if our clients skewed younger, maybe we'd be a little bit more receptive to that. But, our book is probably pretty similar to most books out there where, our average client is over 65. And those folks are still just dipping their toes in the water. And they also, to the extent that they're going out in more controlled ways, right? Like they're going out as a family to dinner, right? So it's still sort of a pod in a little way. To have a client event, by definition, that means they're interacting. And I think a lot of people still need some time with that. Again, particularly the folks that are in their 60s and older. So what we are doing then is we've done, over the last several months, right? We've done cooking classes. We've done virtual wine tasting. So we have done that. So for people who haven't done that, that is still a good idea. But we're also doing golf outings, mini golf outings. And so in the past, like during the summer, we'd have like a big golf outing. But what we're doing now is we're having golf clinics that we're holding at our local country club, golf clinics, and golf outings with either me or Rob. And so we're sending it out to clients saying, okay, here are some Wednesdays that we're available, sign up. And what I saw then is some people were signing up, but some people were intimidated by it because they don't know how to golf. So then we started rolling out golf clinics, and we're saying, oh, and by the way, if you don't want to play golf or you're not really, feeling up to it, and we have themes for each golf clinic, right? So it's like today, actually this morning, Rob is out there with a few clients, and they're doing a golf clinic at the driving range, but then there'll be like putting and pitching and things like that. So that's what we're doing. It's socially distanced, and then it appeals to all levels, right? So your beginner clients will then come out for the clinic. Your more advanced clients come out for, playing a round of golf. The other thing we're doing is smaller dinners. So we're doing smaller dinners, with either 2 or 4 people, where again, people are feeling a little bit more comfortable. So still a subdued client event environment. We're hopeful by the late fall that we'll feel a little bit more emboldened. But the last thing we want to do is hold a super spreading event, or be perceived as responsible for something that goes wrong afterwards. That risk is just too great, again, particularly for the age of our clients.
Right. Right. Okay, let's take a quick look at some of the challenges that our audience immediately put up for us when Doug asked them that opening question, Debbie. And let's just get a quick take from you on how the Taylor Financial Group has addressed some of these things. So we have Bruce asks, I'd like to know how to generate my own leads without hiring a lead company. How to get Facebook or Google leads to come to me using my marketing team. Interesting question, Bruce. Debbie, I don't know, you're not that big on Facebook advertising, I don't believe. You've done that stuff over the years, though. What's your take on that?
I mean, I feel like we've tried everything, Sean. I mean, I say I'll do anything once, except like heroin or something. And so, yeah, because I hear if you do it once, it's hard to go back. And so, yeah, I don't do that one. But, I'll try anything once. What's that, Sean?
So you can just restrict it to weekends.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So what we've done is over the years, anyone who we've come in contact with goes into our database, our Salesforce database. And so we have over 1,000 names in our database. So when we are doing our monthly webinars, which we've just gone to quarterly, or those weekly office hours, we send the messages out to our entire database. We do advertise on Facebook. We do boost it on Facebook. And we do also use LinkedIn as well, and Twitter. And so that's how we do it without a lead company. Having said that, again, like I say, in the spirit of I'll try anything once, we are using white glove now this week for our first white glove webinar. And we have resisted white glove. We thought they were very expensive. We didn't know how they could bring value because we looked at what they offered. And a lot of what they offer, I can do with my in-house team here, right? So I feel like white glove is a lot for people that don't have a team and need to literally outsource everything. And they're willing to pay the money to outsource everything. Well, I don't need to outsource everything. And so then to me, I felt like I was paying a premium for services I didn't really need. Having said that, I do know some other advisors who are successful, who I respect, and they've had some nice success with white glove. And so we are doing 2 white glove webinars within the next week. They're going to be recorded. We are going to post them. And interestingly enough, and to their credit, I looked at the list and they have 50 people on the list attending. Actually, it's tomorrow morning is the first webinar. And there are 50 people attending, all names that I have not seen before. And so we'll see how that goes. And I'm happy to report back to see if a company like that can truly add value, right? Because they charge per person and it's expensive. It's basically about $4,000 or $5,000. And so we'll see if these are people that are truly interested or not. So, but I would tell you how to generate your own leads without a lead company is, it's Facebook, it's Google, it's LinkedIn, it's Twitter, it's leveraging that distribution list you have. And anytime somebody comes in contact with your company, they got to get on that distribution list. Also, we use our weekly newsletter to advertise all of our events and all of our webinars as well.
All right, Bruce, I'll give you one more actionable tip. And this comes from Devin Kropp, who handles our Facebook advertising. And she's with me and Doug and Chris Hallman in our Financial Educator Webinar Coaching Group. What you want to do is you want to upload your list of your existing clients to Facebook. That way you can be sure that your clients are seeing those ads, right? But what importance is that to you since they're already your clients? Well, Facebook is able to identify people who are similar to them on Facebook. And so that will ensure that your advertising gets to what they call a lookalike group. So that may be something you want to pursue that may give you stronger results by targeting ads through Facebook to people that Facebook has deemed are similar to your client list. Okay, let's move on here, Debbie.
And Sean, just as an aside, as part of our new client process, we do that with Facebook. We connect with them on Facebook.
Yeah, no, right. That's great. Yeah. That's great. But I mean, Facebook has, can you literally upload your list and they see all the email addresses and Facebook knows, oh, okay, this particular person is a member of this group and they tend to like these kinds of things and have a past history of clicking through and taking this type of action. What are other people in your target area that have the same profile? And then Facebook will go out and grab them. Anyway, let's move on. Gordon asks, finding high quality paraplanners to hire and hires in general, I guess, and interns. That's what he finds as a challenge. What's your take on finding? You've built a team over the last few years, especially. So what can you tell us for Gordon in terms of that?
Yeah, I mean, Gordon, it's, daily news in the journal about the difficulty of finding, qualified people, right? I mean, we've got, a 6% unemployment rate. This is a challenge, particularly at that level, because those people make more money sitting home right now than coming to work for you, right? They can make $50,000 between federal and state unemployment, right? So that is a challenge. There's no question, particularly at that lower level. It's a challenge. Everybody knows it. What we do is we do try to recruit from the local colleges is what we have found to be successful. And so we do that and we bring them in and we train them. So right now, our paraplanner came to us out of an MBA program from a local college. And she actually responded to an ad for a marketing person, but we saw that she was great with numbers, had her MBA, and quickly then trained her up in the paraplanner area. So what I would tell you is to be very creative, be very open, go to these local colleges, go to the local MBA programs, and you're going to have to be willing to train people. The challenge is that the younger people, they want to go to big name firms. They have this well-defined career path that they can brag about at the local bar, a recognizable name. It's very difficult when you're a smaller firm, particularly if you don't have a growth path, career track, a recognizable name. And so you've got to be prepared to roll up your sleeves and work a little bit harder. So we pay very well. Our benefits package is very competitive with the large firm. We have a profit sharing plan. We have a 401k match. Our PTO is competitive. Over 3 weeks of PTO, we give paid time off for charitable works. So I am obsessed with reading all the studies, seeing what the best benefits packages are, and then being very competitive, because the last thing you want to do is pull somebody in, train them, and then have them leave and go somewhere else once you've trained them up so that they can make like an extra $5,000 a year. So I would just say be very creative. And also we advertise on LinkedIn too, and that has helped us also.
Sure. Okay, good. So moving on, you can tell us a little bit now about how your firm has grown over the last few years, but as you're telling us that, put it in the context of, thinking in terms of, can other advisors also experience the kind of growth you've had? So first part, what kind of growth? Second part, what do you think about other advisors actually being able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, everything I can do, you can do too, and maybe better, right? So last year we grew by about 30%. It was our best year ever. And this year we are continuing to grow. Last year we had 100% client retention. And over the last few years, our client retention has literally been 99%, 98.5%. We have 110 households. So basically it means we lose one household a year is what it comes down to. And so it's just been phenomenal. And the growth has definitely accelerated. So, we grew a lot earlier on, let's say like 2010, like earlier in the last decade. And then around 2015, some of our growth plateaued. And I attribute that to the fact that people were aware that there are other options out there, right? You could be self-directed. You could go to Schwab. You could go to Vanguard. And I really feel like around the mid-decade is when clients started really waking up and saying, hey, like, I don't need to pay 1%, right? I can go to Schwab. I can go to Fidelity, whatever. And so for a few years then, you remember they were predicting the death of our profession, right? Why pay 1%, right? Your financial advisor's stealing from you. And we suffered a little bit there as well, right? I mean, I think most of us suffered by that sort of these new opportunities, all the competition, let's say, right? And then what's happened over the last couple of years is tax chaos, as Sean and I affectionately refer to it, is in 2017, Tax Cut and Jobs Act, 2019, Secure Act, 2020, the market goes down, and then CARES Act. And then this year, it's just, I mean, the roof is being blown off of all of this, okay? Between the market volatility and all this tax legislation. And so really what's happened now is this is almost like the new age of opportunity for us, because more and more of these clients are sitting on these huge account balances. They don't know how to manage them. Yes, they're worried about the market volatility, but they're equally worried about all this tax uncertainty, all this policy, all this risk, and they don't know how to manage that. So even the people that have come to us who are very smart and did well with their investments because they bought Apple and Amazon, right? That's the easy part. But those people are still coming to us and they're saying, Debbie, we don't know how to manage the tax part of this. We don't understand the Secure Act. We don't understand the taxes, the widow's penalty, distributions, how all that works. And so that is really what's driving the growth of our firm over the last couple of years. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And it can work for you too. And so if you look at our messaging, the bulk of our messaging is towards taxes and retirement. It's distribution planning, it's taxes, it's smart, right? Is save more after retirement taxes. That is the bulk of our messaging. It's everywhere. And that's where we're getting our clients.
Yeah. Good, Doug. Thanks. I may go back to you on that. So yeah, the tax thing, Debbie, I have to say, and I'm going to put in a plug for your workshop with Jeff Levine, the Savvy Tax Planning workshop, which is going to be June 21 through 24. And the reason I'm plugging it is because, I've been in this business more than 20 years, and there's a big trend that has clearly developed over the last 5 years is that, hey, wait a second, advisors do really need to wrap their head around their clients' tax liabilities and all the related tax issues. This is a real value add. And the truth of the matter is that you're involved in tax planning. You've always been involved in tax planning. And so the compliance prohibitions against that sort of thing seem to be mostly going away because they were really built on a very weak foundation. I mean, you can't be managing people's, multi-million-dollar portfolios and not be able to bring, significant value add to your advice with your clients around taxes. I mean, if you can't do that, you are hugely vulnerable to losing that client, frankly. And really, it's also, an appalling oversight. And so I just want to say, everybody, that as Debbie's talking about taxes there, you have an amazing opportunity to spend 3 hours a day for 4 days with Jeff and Debbie, June 21 to 24. But anyway, moving on, some of the key things advisors would want to focus on in terms of building their business and continuing to grow. I know in your workshop, one of the things you talk about is keeping your team focused on your goals. So what does that mean when you say that in reality within the Taylor Financial Group? If I work for you, how am I seeing and experiencing Debbie keeping me as one of the team members focused on your goals?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sean. And so it's interesting because I'm very dedicated to the fact that we all need to row together. Okay. And so everybody's got to have the same incentives. Everybody needs to see what the objectives are. So I'm very transparent. And anytime consultants come in here, they're literally like, wow, Debbie, like you're an open book. You're transparent, like almost to a fault. And so every Monday morning, we have a weekly team meeting and we go through a business closed year to date, what our pipeline looks like, what we're trying to close for the month, what we have closed for the month, what I'm expecting us to be doing literally this week to close business. And so it literally starts at the widest part of the funnel, which is like year to date close business, and what's up for the month, like basically what's on deck. And then literally drilling down of this week, here's what we should be closing, and here's what we need to be doing to close that business, whether it's making another phone call, getting the paperwork out, getting the paperwork back. And so that's one aspect of it, having a lot of structure around that weekly team meeting. We also do daily huddles every morning at 8:45 a.m. Monday morning is weekly teams. That's about an hour. And then the daily huddles Tuesday through Friday, and they're anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So that's part of it. Having a lot of very good reporting. So leveraging your contact management system. We use Salesforce, and bringing those reports, getting them up on the screen during those morning meetings so that everybody sees exactly what's on deck, what we're doing. So that's one part of it, is the transparency, the reporting, tracking that, the accountability. And then the other part is setting goals, right? So they have quarterly goals, SMART goals, and part of them, of those goals, are quantitative, right? Part of them are revenue-based, closing business. And so that's about 60% of the goals, and then 40% is individual. But the 60% is very metric oriented. It's very quantitative. If I make money, you make money. But if I don't make money this quarter, you're going to make less money this quarter. And so I would tell you those are the two big things.
So you're keeping your team very focused throughout the year on what their bonus may be like at the end of the year?
It's a quarterly. We
you pay out quarterly
bonuses.
your bonuses?
Yeah. And so we changed that, Sean, because honestly, you have, a younger generation in the workforce that may not have the patience that we had when we were younger. They may not want to wait to the end of the year. And in fairness, I want to keep them motivated. I don't want to make them wait to the end of the year to see good or bad. And so with every quarter, we're then basically truing up, it gives people something to work for that seems more manageable and attainable.
Oh, so that mean they can buy more Dogecoin?
Don't even get me going on that.
All right. Okay. Why don't you just touch on, just quickly, I don't want you to dive into the full, line and verse about it, but I know you use something called 6 Most with your team, and that you're going to be teaching people in the workshop about 6 Most. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we swear by 6 Most. And if you look at just about any time management book, they will have some version of 6 Most that they talk about. And so basically every night before people leave, the last thing they do is they send off to either me or my operations manager, depending on who they report to, their 6 Most for the day. Now, we affectionately refer to it as 60 Most, but it's the 6 most important things for them to get done. It is in order of priority. So like number 1 is then the number 1 thing you do the next day. You don't just list 6 things and then start with number 6. You start with number 1, number 2, number 3, and then we customize it depending on the team member. So we might have then some of their projects on there, what they're waiting on, webinars are going to sit on for the week. So we'll customize it. But yeah, we have that every single night. We absolutely swear by it.
Right. Good. Great. Doug, I'm going to throw it back over to you for a second, because you're keeping track of what we're hearing from folks online. We asked them about what their challenges were. And so I'm going to bring you into the conversation for a bit to move us along.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sean. So I'm going to go ahead and be voice only here as I kind of scroll up here. So we have some more recent comments, but we did have a few that came in earlier that we didn't get to when we asked about the biggest challenges. So Stewardship Investments Incorporated says that building capacity through staff development. So you talked a lot about that actually. And Derek's asking, having the scale and processes to provide all the deliverables clients need.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. So, Derek, I've always had the philosophy, build it and they will come. And so part of it is almost betting on yourself, because to me, it becomes a virtuous circle. And so I've always hired for what I thought my growth was going to be. I never waited to be there and then reacted with hiring, because I always felt like then client service would suffer and we might lose clients then if we're too reactive. That's your proverbial growing pains. And so part of it is really looking ahead and saying, okay, what do I think my growth could be if I had the right people here in the right seats, and then go out on a limb and hire that next person, right, for whatever slot you think needs to be filled, and let that person then start doing more of that messaging and marketing, and help you with the processes and help with some of those deliverables. I mean, some of the deliverables that we have in our firm, like our service offerings, literally are second to none. And yes, it cuts into my profits. I mean, I've got 8 people here for 110 households. Okay. What that's telling you is, maybe we're super, super inefficient. But the other part of it is we are delivering a lot of service that's not scalable, that's very sort of detail oriented, the planning, all that stuff, which is not scalable, the tax analysis, looking at holistic plan, reviewing tax returns. And so could we be more profitable if we had less people? Absolutely. But then would we have a 99% client retention ratio? Would I be able to hold my fees, right? Because I don't negotiate my fees. Would I be able to win the business the way I do when I go out there having discovery meetings? So part of it, I think, is you really having faith in yourself, betting on yourself, and going and doing that next hire, and pulling them in there and allowing yourself then to get to that next level. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So that's my response to Derek. Jerry's mentioning problems with paperwork and lack of good service from third parties. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who your custodian is. I mean, we're dealing with it. They're all dealing with it, right? You see Schwab laying off all these people, the TD Schwab merger. I have a friend that works at the Fidelity branch on the highway here. He literally tells me he works night and day. He's saying to me, Debbie, this is not sustainable what I'm doing down here. And so you're seeing this everywhere. And part of it then is it's on you, right? Because your clients didn't necessarily hire Schwab or Cetera or LPL, right? Your clients hired you. And so you need processes in place that if you can't trust those third parties, and by the way, I don't trust them either, we have a process to constantly follow up and circle back to make sure that those trades are placed, that dollar cost averaging that we put into place, that's actually being done. And we catch that more times than we should, those things not happening. And the only regret we have is that we don't catch them sooner, because every time we catch them, we then circle back to say, we need to tighten these processes even more. We need to do this even more, because these custodians, these 401k providers are just getting worse and worse. They're not getting better. So we just keep adding more process, more double checking, not less. And that's just a reality. That's just the reality of this business today. We talked about finding high quality. We talked about
Debbie, let's throw a question out to our audience right now, which is there anything Debbie has said so far that you can identify as being something that you think you could, be doing better at with your business? And Doug, while we wait for answers from our audience, why don't you run by a couple questions that have come from the audience earlier, a couple comments earlier?
Yeah, well, we actually have some more recent comments, Sean. I think we got to the early ones.
Good.
I think so. Coming back to recently, so Mark is asking, which presentation topic are you using for your white glove event?
Yeah, Mark. I mean, again, taxes and retirement. I mean, unless you have a niche already in place, right? I do divorced women. I do neurosurgeons at the local hospital, right? I mean, if you've got a niche already in place, or a niche that feels very natural, right? Like you're in Atlanta and you want to do pilots, right? Or you're an engineer by training, right? So unless you have a niche in place already, or one that feels very natural, what I would tell everybody out there is retirement and taxes. That is where the money is. That's where the uncertainty is. And that's where people are willing to pay for your expertise. So we're doing retirement and taxes with White Glove.
Good topic. Good topic. What else, Doug?
So Victor wants to know, can you expand on your compensation system?
Yeah, and somebody else asked in connection with that is, do we look at the benchmarking studies? And the answer is yes. I'm a total data hound. We talk about it in the practice management webinar. We literally start almost every chapter with the benchmarking studies, right? Because part of the challenge of being in our own offices is that we don't have a great like frame of reference. You know, how profitable am I? So yes, I'm obsessed with the benchmarking studies. I read them every time I see them come out. And so the question then was, do you pay much attention to, the compensation system. So basically my goal is I want to be compensating in the top quartile for our region and for the position. Okay. So I'm going to be benchmarking to the top quartile. We do have then the quarterly bonuses that are tied to the SMART goals. Like I said, 60% is team and revenue based and very quantifiable, because I don't want to get a negotiation every quarter about whether that 60% was met or not. It's just plain the numbers. Okay. And so the numbers, the 60%, the numbers are client retention. Okay. Because we don't want to be bringing in business if it's walking out the door, other business walking out the door the next day, right? It's all about net new assets. So we look at net new assets for the quarter, and we look at revenue, and we look at retention. So those are the three main components of that 60%. And then the 40% are individual goals, which we designate in the beginning of the quarter. And it's anywhere from 3 to 5 individual goals, SMART goals, that we rank on. And then that is the quarterly bonus. So that's how that part's handled.
All right. Good. Any other questions, Doug?
Just a comment from Derek. It says her response to hire for future growth resonates. If you wait until your capacity is tight, it is stressful to then hire to improve your efficiency. Great session today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Sean. Go on.
No, go right ahead, and then we're going to wrap up.
I was going to say then, if we're going to wrap up, part of like a parting comment is, this is a very profitable business. Okay. And there's an economic principle that when a business is very profitable, entrants will come in at a cheaper price point and eventually will cut into that profitability and drive down profits, right? And that's common sense, right? I mean, you don't need a PhD guy to put some study around that. But there are studies, and that makes sense. And what happened is this business had been very, very profitable for years because we all had the nerve to charge 1%. And I would meet advisors from like Kentucky who were charging 2.3%. I mean, there's no way I could get away with that in New Jersey and New York. But if you're charging 1 to 2%, whatever, for just investment management. Now, admittedly, it was a lot more inefficient back then and you had to work harder. We didn't have the technology. But at the end of the day, it is a profitable business and it continues to be profitable. And so every single person on this call needs to basically make a decision. Are you going to essentially ride this out, gather all this profit, make all this money, and not deliver the service to the clients that they need and hope they won't notice, and maybe not worry so much then that your growth isn't going to be there, okay? Or are you going to recommit yourself to your business and build a business for the next generation? And part of that would be then hiring, services, technology, all the things we talk about in that practice management workshop to basically build a business that your clients are all going to want to stick around. You're going to be able to attract new clients and basically building it, so that it's sustainable. So those are my parting thoughts.
Good, great. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for coming out. We apologize for the slow start, but we're going to be doing this every week, more or less, between now and when Debbie's practice management workshop kicks off July 19th. So stay tuned for that. There'll be a recording as well. If you want to learn more about Debbie's workshop, you can go to horsesmouth.com/newnormal, one word, and that'll give you all the details on what's going to be covered and when it's going to happen and all that sort of stuff. People in Debbie's workshop, the same one she held in February, she just had rave reviews. People really loved it. And, it's just like getting a shot of adrenaline into your business building muscles. So folks, we'll be back again as part of our Building a Better series. Have a great day. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Debbie, thanks for being on. And Doug, thanks to you too for getting this going, streaming out to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Who knows what will be next? Take care, everyone.
Thank you.